Evening, y'all, and welcome back to Apron Strings. Lord, I'm so excited. I got so many new subscribers, and I thank you everyone for subscribing and watching and commenting. And it's fun when you go back to some of the first videos and I get to visit them again with you. So welcome to Apron Strings. I hope you've hit the little bell to be notified of new videos and hit the thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up when you watch it. I appreciate that. Today we're going to cook something. Well, actually I'm going to make beef tips out of some of my canned venison. Now, y'all were with me when I canned some when we made sausage the other day, and I told you I'd show you how I make the beef tips with it. So we're going to get busy on that in just a minute. But I wanted to take y'all over here. We've had this horrible cold weather, y'all know, and my turmeric and my ginger, the tops just went to nothing, so I thought I better dig that up. Well, I didn't have but a few little plants in one of those big black barrel things, and I got a pretty good harvest. I think I'm proud of it. I'm going to plant again whenever I'm supposed to, probably this spring. I'll look it up and see. But I want to get y'all over here and show you my harvest. See, all of this is turmeric, and I'm real proud of that. That was only about five little plants, I think, and then there's my ginger. So I'm gonna put some back to plant again, or I may go out in the greenhouse and plant some just to have it coming up, but I was proud of my harvest. Now, before the freeze came, I went out and I clipped African blue basil and stevia leaves, mint, that's pineapple sage, tarragon, and I'm gonna see if I can get those to root for me and have some plants ready for the spring. It's just fun to grow stuff. I like it. It's work, but it's fun. So the first thing I'm going to do about getting my beef tips, venison tips, ready is I'm going to get my scan pan. I love this skillet because nothing sticks to it, and I can use metal utensils and it doesn't hurt it. I usually use my wood, but anyway. So I'm going to get me some oil in here and get it to getting hot. Oh, I almost forgot. One of my subscribers, Robert, had emailed me and told me that he saw me using some pecans, like from Costco, and that he had been buying pecans for many years from Sunnyland Farms in Georgia, and he would like to send me or have them send me a box of their pecans. I said, man, I would be delighted. So let me step over here and get it was 2 bags of each, and let me show you what he sent me. I got 2 bags of each, 2 whole pecans and 2 bags of pieces. Robert, thank you so much. This just meant the world and all to me, because this is something I use all the time. And I'm going to tell y'all something, stuff's high. And every time I get a blessing like this, I thank the good Lord for it. So thank you for being his hands and feet, Robert. I needed pecans. Okay, now I've got my skillet over here, and I'm going to put me some olive oil in it. And I'm just going to drizzle some around in there. I bought this the other day at TJ Maxx because I like the bottle. Isn't that neat? It's got a little handle place on it that I can hold it and pour it. Neat. Okay. Just going to drizzle it around to have something to work with on my, that might have been 3 teaspoons, a tablespoon. And I put my fire on probably medium. And I've already cut 1 onion up, and it was a pretty good size onion, a big medium onion. But I had a little bit of onion left over that I didn't use the weekend, and I've already chopped some of it, so I'm going to put some of that in here that I've chopped. So I'll have some little bitty chops and some half-moon slices in there. And when that gets to cooking, I'm going to cut up this bell pepper and I'll get it in there. Let me fix that camera. And I'm going to use the whole bell pepper because I like bell pepper. If you don't like it, and if I had a red one, I love the taste of red bell pepper, but they're all in the freezer. I got a good deal on some, and I put them all in the freezer. I also got a whole bunch, 5 or 6 bags of the little tricolored sweet peppers. on the 99-cent thing at Kroger's, and I cut all of them up, and they are in the freezer for me to use for pizza or whatever when I get ready. So I'm going to cut this up. Let me go ahead and put these seeds over here. I'm going to get these just cut in strips. If my grandkids are here, some of them don't like bell pepper, and they can just pick it out easier if it's bigger. But I'll eat what they don't. You'd think we was trash disposals, because if Lauren's here and there's something she doesn't like, she'll just, all of a sudden it'll be on your plate. She shares. I think I told y'all when I started liking bell pepper, I had a cousin that had gestational diabetes, or I think that's what you call it when you're expecting and you get diabetes. And I walked home from school and I went by the local hospital to see her, and they had brought her snack, and it was some dill pickles and some green bell pepper, and I don't remember, maybe tomatoes. All I remember is I liked everything on her snack, but I had never had bell pepper, and Mama cooked with it, but I knew I didn't like it, so I never tasted it. Man, I fell in love with it, and that was 2nd grade, that many years ago, and I'm still eating bell pepper. So let me give these a little whiz, a stir over here. One of y'all sent me an article. Actually, it came from a friend in Africa, and it was a study that had been done on people that had lost their sense of smell and taste from COVID. And some of y'all may need this. They had great results with vitamin A. Now, the article says to put a drop in your nose. I had vitamin A that I had bought just to have in my stash in there. And so the bottle says to put a drop under your tongue. So I'm putting some vitamin A under my tongue every day, and I'm taking vitamin A, and I'm hoping that'll help my smell. So if some of y'all have the same issue, you might want to try that. Anything's worth a try to get your smell back. I can't smell these onions cooking, and I like to smell onions cooking. My son said that somebody that had a little vendor's booth thing at the fair told him if sales were dropping and they wasn't getting as many buyers as they wanted, all they had to do was throw some onions on the grill, and when that smell started wafting through the neighborhood, people would line up at their little booth to buy something. Okay, I saw somebody go by the window, and I've told y'all that my kids work at old McDonald's farm, the grandkids, 2 of them, and they get baby chickens in for the little kids that visit. Well, when the chickens get up bigger, they get rid of them. That's where I got my barred rocks that I have. So the guy was coming by to bring me 6 more hens. I've been waiting on them, and they're just in little kennels, and I just set them inside the coop where they can maybe get accustomed to each other before I let them out, because I know the pecking order is going to start, and I didn't want that. So after dark tonight, I may go let them out, or I may keep them in the little kennels one more day, and then after dark tomorrow night let them out. But anyhow, they're going to get to meet each other in the morning time, because I don't want them pecking on them. So I'm going to add my bell pepper. My onions have kind of caramelized. In fact, some of them got a little too brown, and I dipped them out. I'm going to let these cook down until they are soft. That's all, just soft. And then we'll make our roux and make our brown gravy, add our meat to it, and some garlic. And we'll show y'all how easy it is. Once you've got your meat, see the meat in the jars is fully cooked. When you process beef or meat, you put it in your jar, and I always put a teaspoon of salt to the quart, and you pack it in here raw. And it pressures at 10 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes at my altitude. So this could be opened up and eat right out of the jar. It's fully cooked. And I also like to drain it and put good barbecue sauce on it and season it up, and it makes good barbecue buns. But today we're going to have beef tips, because I have the Zozurushi rice cooker, and I always cook 6 or 7 cups when I cook it, and I put it in the ice box. So I'm going to add a little water to some of that and heat it up, and we'll have rice already ready, and we'll have our beef tips or venison tips or whatever you want to call them. And that's what's going to be for supper tonight. Also, I have some little Brussels sprouts that I'm going to pick the outer leaves off, and I'm going to cut them in half and toss them in oil. And I have some seasoning called maple garlic that I'm going to put on them, and I'm going to roast some of them. So we'll have that to go with it. And I'll show y'all in a minute what I'm doing on that. Y'all are getting a good one today. You get to see my ginger and my turmeric, and you get to see me make my beef tips, and you'll get to see how I cook my Brussels sprouts. I told y'all, didn't I? I never had Brussels sprouts in my life. And my mama was in the hospital one time in Houston, and we went to see her. We went to the cafeteria to eat. And I liked cabbage. I said, I want some of those little bitty cabbage heads. And that lady grinned at me, and she said, honey, those are called Brussels sprouts. I said, well, I want some of them. And I found out I liked them back when I was 22, 23 years old. But I sure didn't know what to call them, but she was kind. She didn't make fun of me. But that's what I like. One time I was over at my aunt's house, and she had cooked asparagus. Mother never cooked asparagus. I was just a kid, probably 10 years old. Well, I went home and told Mother that Aunt Helen had something that she didn't cook, and I wanted her to start making apparatus. And Mother said, what? I said, apparatus. Aunt Helen had that today, and I liked it. So she went to the phone and called Aunt Helen, found out it was asparagus. So for the rest of my life, my parents would pick at me about having apparatus. And they never did get to liking asparagus, but I did, and I do. So there y'all know my vocabulary mistakes. I'm going to let this get tender, and then I'll bring y'all back when I start to make the brown gravy and when I put it all together and show y'all what it looks like. Okay, y'all, it's kind of getting tender, and it'll cook a little bit more when I put the gravy and everything all together. So I'm going to get this out and just put it in this bowl while I make the gravy, the brown gravy, to go with the rice with the beef tips. Now you can do this with your own beef tips. You need to take a chuck roast or buy stew meat and cut it in cubes, salt and pepper and garlic and onion powder it, and flour it and brown it. And then you want to make your brown gravy just like I'm doing here. And when you get your gravy made, put your meat back in it, and you can do your onions and bell peppers to start with. Make your gravy, put it all back together, put a lid on it, and you can put it in the oven on 350 and cook it for an hour and a half or so, 2 hours, until it's done. Or you can put it in a crock pot and cook it till it's done. But you want to toss your meat in flour and brown it. That seals it in, gives it a better flavor. So you can do this if you don't have deer meat. You can do it with just your bought meat. Now I'm going to use about twice. I use equal amounts of flour and oil, but I've done this so much till I can guesstimate it. So you would need about 3 tablespoons of oil and 2 or 3 tablespoons of flour. I mean 3 or 4. If you're going to get more of something, get more of your flour. I just kind of eyeball it, but a lot of your Cajuns say equal amounts, and some of them say more flour than oil, like making your seafood gumbo roux. It's the same process, you just don't brown it as much as you do for gumbo. This is to cook your flour. You don't want any raw flour in it. And I got a little too much flour, so I'm going to add me a little bit of oil. And you'll see it don't take much to loosen up that flour, so you have to just add a snitch at a time. There. See, it's just kind of sticking together pasty. That's how I like mine. And then I try to kind of spread it out where it'll all brown quicker and better. I'm going to turn that up to a medium so it'll get its business going. And then in a minute I'm going to add onion and garlic powder, but I'm going to wait till I get my gravy going, I think. And I want this brown, but not dark brown. Because you know beef tips and rice and gravy, they look dark. It's dark brown gravy. It's not milk gravy looking. Y'all, I'm not a professional chef. This is just Southern cooking, and that's how we do it. We just cook it till it looks right or tastes right. We season till it tastes right and cook it till it looks right. And I've been trying to figure it out and put amounts to it for y'all. Where you can learn to do it. Alright, I'm going to let this brown and we'll be back in a minute and look at it. Okay, it's brown. Y'all can see how brown it is. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water, and I turned my fire out just till I get this going. You want to add cold water, not hot. And you notice I didn't put any salt or garlic or black pepper or anything in my roux. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The black flakes are from browning my onions a while ago. Okay, I'm going to turn it back on and just let it cook, simmer until it thickens. And then I'm going to salt and pepper and onion powder it, garlic powder. I'm going to put right now about 2 tablespoons of onion powder in there. And about a teaspoon of garlic, because I'm going to put regular garlic in it too. And if you are making something like this and it isn't as brown as you wanted it, get you some kitchen bouquet and put just a little bit, and it'll add that dark color to your gravy. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I'm going to simmer it. I've got my Brussels sprouts sliced in half. I've got my oven heating on 450, and I'm going to toss them in some maple garlic seasoning, and also I'm going to melt some butter and olive oil, and that's what I'm going to roast them in the oven. You could do it on the top of the stove, but this is my favorite pan, and I'm already using it, so I'm going to put them in the oven. You can do them on the grill. Troy does his on his Blackstone a lot. Okay, I need to add some salt. I'm just going to put about a teaspoon. And I'll taste it and see if it's salty enough. And just some black pepper. I'm just going to sprinkle some in. My ratchet's over yonder on the table, and I'm being lazy and using regular black pepper. See if it's seasoned right. It needs some more salt. Now, I didn't put my garlic in a while ago. I'm fixing to put my chopped garlic in there and let it cook too. That's just about right. So let me add my peppers and onions back. And add me a chopped garlic clove. And you can see some of my onions did get charred, but I like that. I don't like how it looks, but I like the charred onions. I might dip them out in a minute because everybody don't like them like I do. Let's see if we can get some of them out. I decided that I'm going to add a package of onion soup mix to it to give it another depth of flavor. It's just not as flavorful as I wanted it to be. And that'll add some bouillon and some more onion flavor, and it'll change the color a little bit. Okay, I'm going to mix this, and then I'm going to add, I'll bring y'all back when I'm adding the meat back. Okay, that onion soup mix was exactly what it needed. And I love this little pria lid. I noticed Amazon has some now that's not near as much as this one. That's an old one that I bought. And it gets your lids off without tearing them up. I like that. I'll see if I can get some of this fat out of here. Let me get a little spoon and get some of this out, and I will be back. Okay, I'm going to add this, and it's got some the juice that cooked out of the meat that's going to add a little bit more flavor. And because this has been pressured and it's so tender, I'm not going to just stir the fire out of it because I don't want it in shreds. I'm going to break it up a little bit, and all we have to do now is just heat the meat through, and it'll be ready to put over our rice. So I'm just going to let it simmer a little bit. And I could add more meat, but that's plenty for me and Troy. I don't want to waste my canned venison. So now I'm going to let this simmer, and we'll get back to the butcher block, and we'll get our Brussels sprouts ready to go in the oven. Got about 2½ tablespoons of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm going to melt this in the microwave, and then I'm going to put it on my pan here. And I did pound my pan because in case they caramelize, I can wash it easier. And I'm going to toss them with their seasoning. Let me get this melted. I'll go ahead and put my, and I halved them. Troy probably isn't going to want any of these, but Gay does. And this is 1 garlic clove, and I'm going to do 1 more. I'm just going to drizzle it on and toss them, and then I'm also going to add some onion and garlic powder. But the main thing I want to add is this maple garlic, and it's tones. I got it at Sam's. I'm sure you can get it just about anywhere. Just going to toss them with my fingers here. Because you want both sides of them to have some oil on them. And I'm going to turn them down on their face first. Let that part do. Get my garlic around it, and I'm going to rinse my hands off, and I'll get those in the oven, and I'll do them for about 10 or 15 minutes on one side, and then I'll try to flip them because I want them to be seasoned and browned on both sides. Okay, my oven is right about the right temperature. So I'll roast it. I'm going to get my rice out and get it to warming, and I'll get some of my chips and rice plated up and show y'all what it looks like here in a minute. I put just enough water in the bottom to moisten the rice, and I put a handful of green onion blades in it, and I'm just going to put the lid on it and kind of steam it till it warms. My Brussels sprouts are done, so I'm gonna, they're not all caramelized, but they're soft and tender and so good. I'm going to add a little bit more of the seasoning on them and a tad of salt. Here's the one that I'm using. Tones, maple and garlic. And I'm going to sprinkle a tad of salt. And I can only imagine how good these would be if I had put them out there on the smoker. Got some of that smoke in them. Ouch. They're hot. So is the pan. Grab it with your hand. Okay, I'm going to plate up some of the rice and beef tips and the Brussels sprouts and show y'all, and I'm going to taste it. Okay, y'all, here's my plate. See, those Brussels sprouts are like candy to me. I love them. So I'm going to put this camera back on the tripod, and I'm going to taste of all of it. I'll be right back. Yum, yum, yum. I want a Brussels sprout first, and I want the one that has the most dark on it. Y'all need you some of that seasoning. Troy was right. My son, Troy Wayne. That's delicious. Now let's try some of the rice and the beef tips, venison tips. You can't tell that from beef. I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. So, you know, if somebody's killing some deer and you don't know what you're going to do with it, pressure can it in jars. You can make soup with it. You can make barbecue sandwiches with it. You can do potatoes with beef in it or venison. Like stewed down. Make beef tips and rice. It's endless. And you know, if you're going to hunt, you might as well use the meat. This is delicious. Hope y'all will try it. Hope you'll can you some, whether you can beef chuck roast or beef or, you know, whatever your choice is. It's a quick, easy meal. Now, I've got some good stuff coming up. I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do before Christmas, so I may be doing a few of those cookies and things along, and y'all can just put it in your file for next Christmas, and I'll just put them in the freezer and pull a few out when we get a sweet tooth. I don't know just what order I'm going to do stuff, but I've got some good recipes coming up. Thank y'all again for watching and subscribing. Thank you for giving me the thumbs up. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for every Christmas card. I got several Christmas cards, and it just makes me happy to know that you watch the channel and you care enough to get my address and send me a pretty Christmas card. I appreciate it. I like to be loved. It makes me feel good. The good Lord bless and keep y'all, and I'll be back just as soon as I can with some more good recipes.